Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the second dev server for the next major update coming to War Thunder, and it's time to have a look at a new premium ship that is coming to the Soviets as in the coastal tree for them. This is the MPK Pr.12412P, which is definitely quite hard to say, and it is a premium copy kind of a tech tree vehicle we already have. So we have the 12412, which is sat right here, and you can see all of its modifications with its depth charges and its rocket launchers and its torpedoes. Well, the 1241P is over here at rank 4, so this will be useful at researching the whole of the coastal tree when it comes to naval, and it'll be pretty good in general. Very similar to how the Rosomachia is the premium version of the Yenet, the same, and also with the Karl Marx being very similar to both of them, the 12412P comes in as similar to the 12412. So this vehicle has access to a 76mm on the front of it. This is a rapid firing 76mm. The ammunition on it gets 152 of them, as you can see, which is sat here. It's got an ammo elevator to help it out as well. It also gets some other weird and wonky and wonderful weapons. So on the back, you can see it has a rapid fire 30mm 54 AK-630 automatic cannon. This is similar to some other vehicles we have in the game. Even the aircraft carrier for the Soviets has some of these things on them. They're incredibly rapid fire, and I'll show you right now what it looks like. It's just a really fantastic setup when it comes to the actual gun itself. It just fires incredibly fast, so you can see just shooting over here. You can see the amount of shots that are coming out, and of course my main gun is now shooting at the aircraft. But if you need to, shoot at aircraft... Oh my god, okay, I just screwed it up. But if you need to shoot at aircraft, or you need to target like smaller ships, the 30mm is not a bad idea to be able to just spray and pray. The one thing you got to watch out for is jamming the gun though, and understand that the AI is going to continuously jam the gun if you allow it to actually use it. So just remember that when it comes to it. But killing any like low-tier naval thing, you can just absolutely annihilate it with the 30mm, and the 76 will be much more multi-purpose for your general needs. It also has access to some other weaponry, so it gets itself the RBU 1200 mortars. I've never really found a use for these in game apart from scaring the enemy. You get 20 of them. They're not too useful. They basically have a specific a specific arc to them, and you can fire them at something which is so far away from you. Generally, I've never hit anything with them, any of the bomb mortars or any of these types of mortars either. Maybe other people have mastered them better than I have. It also gets access to 8 torpedoes, but to be honest with you, I only see 4, so unless there's a reload somewhere for these torpedoes, I'm not entirely sure how there's 8, but we'll have to see what goes on with that. Maybe it's just missing from the X-ray model. And also you get some depth charges, so you can get some depth charges at the back here, which just means that they can explode. What is also interesting is one of the pieces of the EVGA. So this is like an EVGA launcher right here, and it's got as you can see 4 tubes on it, and one of them is modeled as ammo, but none of the other ones are. And also at the same time, there's actually quite a few ships for the Soviets which have this setup on it, so they just have 4 EVGAs which are sat there, but none of them actually work. So I doubt the one on this one, the PR12412, is going to work either. It's just kind of there for giggles, I suppose. Maybe at some point they'll make it work, but at least right now that is not the case. You also have the bridge and the radio station, and this thing does have a pretty competent radar. It's got a search radar antenna and also a tracking radar director on it as well, so everything you will need to be quite successful at aiming the gun and also seeing when stuff is coming in. does have the engines in the back, quite tiny engines and also quite big transmissions, but generally not a huge deal for the vehicle itself. And when it comes to its armor, it's pretty much non-existent. This is probably the weakest part of this thing. So it's huge, but it only has 6mm of steel for the hull and 3mm for the superstructure. This is rough. I don't know how else to put it. It's very much in a bit of a rough state, and that means that its survivability is very, very low. It also has a tiny crew. Only 36 crew for this size of a ship is very much surprising. But I suppose that's what happens when you have more modern machines in the game itself. Modification-wise, obviously being a premium, you get all of this stuff for free, but one of the things to note is you can get rid of some of the weapons if you want. So if you only want the rockets, or if you only want the depth charges or the torpedoes, you can remove the other ones, and so you can just kind of pick what you want to have. You can see that you can mix and match the weapons as well if you feel like it. For me, I'd probably only take the torpedoes since, as I said, I'm not very good with the mortar and I'm not very good with the depth charges either. And for the 76.2mm, it has access to HE, which will be great against other machines that don't have a lot of armor. It will also be able to annoy machines which don't have, which do have a ton of armor, because you can just keep setting them on fire, even though it won't do too much damage as long as they have the FPE unlocked. And it also has HEVT, which will be super good against aircraft, and also super good again if you're struggling to aim against these smaller ships when it comes to the game. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the actual shells themselves. The 30mm is just HEF, so it's very much designed just to be an AA gun and nothing really else, but it'll still be pretty useful to be able to do a lot of damage to other machines. So for me, when I have a look at this machine, you know, I see a machine which looks pretty fun. It's one which has some decent weaponry on it. The main drawback, I would say, is first of all, the gun depression on the 76 is really rough, so you're gonna have to like turn slightly to the side to make sure it's able to get its gun on target. You can see on here we've had to turn it straight to the side to be able to hit this machine. You can see the damage output's pretty decent on it, and the reload is not too bad. But the CIWS, or the 30mm on the back, it has an issue of not firing at anything. So it'll fire in short bursts, and this is basically the AI trying to make sure it doesn't overheat the gun. But it'll still overheat the gun quite a lot, because it's an AI, and that's generally what they do. But the 76 against like smaller machines, once you get like the aim going in, you can see here the reload of the machine is incredibly quick. But once you run out of the first stage ammo storage, it's going to be a little bit rough. But you know, you'll get used to it. If you play stuff like the SKR-7 or the PR-35 or the Pr.12412P, you'll know how deadly these 76s can be, and you'll know how much it's going to take, or you know how much damage stuff's going to take from them. But you just got to watch out for the reload and make sure that you don't overheat the gun. One thing to mention is there's no range measurement on this thing. I'm guessing that'll be added in. I think that's probably more of a bug than anything else. But you can see with the HE, like, we can do a ton of damage to the machine just by flinging HE at it. But since it has a limited amount of ammo, we've already run out of our HE, which is half of our ammo gone already, and we haven't really done too much to this destroyer, showing that this thing is going to be a really good bully for smaller ships. But for larger ships like this thing, it just means that you'll be able to, you know, set it on fire. You'll be able to kind of immobilize it because it won't be able to fire. But at the same time, like, what else are you gonna do? You know, it's much better to be able to do other things. And because I fired the 30mm at the destroyer, I've crashed my game. So see this as an end of this review. As always, thank you for watching. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.